Infinite Ryvius and the end of the science fiction era. Science fiction and anime were like popcorn and butter. The first anime, Astro Boy, is about the most advanced android on Earth. This tradition continued into the 70s with such classics like Space Battleship Yamamoto, super robot shows like Get a Robot by Zinger Z, and Brave Radine. When the 80s dawned, real robot shows like Gundam series and Macross and its sequels were the most popular and influential, and hit its pinnacle in the 90s with Neon Genesis Evangelion, Ghost in Shell, and Cowboy Bebop. The idea of science fiction and anime wasn't so much about impressing your audience with practical science fiction inventions. It wasn't even about the moral and ethical dilemmas that advancing science has on society. It was more about the spectacle of it all. Dramatic teen romance, apocalyptic stakes, fantastical heroes, making crushing choices with mysteries still to be uncovered. In a way, Infinite Ryvius is the end of the era. Visual novel and light novel adaptations became prominent around the early 2000s, and the idea of the big anime original science fiction soap opera moved away from the heart of the industry. Infinite Ryvius premiered October 1999, and it's a sci-fi supernatural drama from Studio Sunrise and director Goro Taniguchi, director of Code Geass and Planets. It has garnered some notable praise, including winning Best TV Series at the 2000 Kobe Animation Festival. It currently sits at 7.57 score on MyAnimeIsList.net. It's about 500 astronaut students that get stranded on a top secret spaceship. Can the students organize and live in harmony until the government realizes that they are really innocent students and not hijackers of their secret weapon? Or will chaos reign on a ship with limited supplies, plus dangers of space travel and teenage hormones? When I think about the strength of the show, two things come to mind. One of the strongest parts of the show is the love triangle between Ao, Koji, and Feina. What it does well is it does a good job looking at the relationship from all perspectives. Ao is the childhood friend of Koji and his brother Yuki, and there is this unsaid thing between them that Ao and Koji are destined to be a couple. However, they have never really officially dated. They are just friends. So when Koji and Feina start a relationship, Ao is jealous and Yuki is furious and feels that Koji betrayed Ao. However, as Beyonce says, if you like it, you should have put a ring on it. If Koji and Ao aren't officially dating, of course Koji is free to date whomever he wants. Feina did nothing wrong. A boy liked her and she liked him. But then, it also shows you that it's not like Ao did anything wrong either. She just unconditionally loves Koji with all her heart. It's not a fault of her character that she gets jealous when Koji starts dating Feina. I was really impressed with how well that storyline is handled throughout most of the series. For the most part, the anime takes itself completely seriously. However, that serves to make the moments where it goes for dramatic irony that much funnier. For example, there is an episode where they decide to have a party, and the characters are like, this is going to be such a fun thing for us to have a party after such a tense time in the spaceship. Cut to them preparing for the party, and people are at each other's throats complaining about the lighting arrangement. I think the writing of the show is one of its strengths. For the most part, they do a good job of showing you what the passengers of the Ryvius are going through, but there are some moments where they lean too much on characters just telling us. One episode that was bad offender of this was when they introduced the point system, basically a currency system on the Ryvius. It costs a certain amount of points to eat in a cafeteria. At one point, some guy didn't have enough points to eat. That was a really good scene because it's not clear, well, what should they do? Not feed him? But is it the point of the point system to save resources so they all survive? What if a passenger never has enough points? Should they let him starve to death? But other than that one moment, most of the episode is just characters telling us how unfair the point system is. The best stretch of episodes is episodes 6 to 17-ish. The Lord of the Flies plot is explored the best. The characters all have interesting conflicts they're going through. One subversive thing they do is you see this guy right here on the cover of the poster. That is Yuki, the ace pilot of the mecha and the Ryvius, who is not the main character. The main character is his brother Koji, who is just a normal guy. One show that Infinite Ryvius could have learned from was Lost. In Lost, one of the breakthroughs Lindelof and Abraham had when they made the pilot was to make the island its own character. Infinite Ryvius has that coverage with making the spaceships a character. Like literally, her name is Nia, and there is a mystery of who exactly sabotaged them. But the thing that is missing is none of the characters really care about who sabotaged them or the mysteries of the ship. What they needed was a John Locke character, someone who can help the audience out with how engaged we are in the mysteries of the show. Infinite Ryvius starts during the event on their ship that leaves them stranded. However, they are executed in a really confusing way that tries to establish mystery, but it does so at the expense of coherence. What happens a lot in Infinite Ryvius is there will be a mystery and it won't come up that often, except every once in a while we are reminded of it. Then eventually we get told the answer of the mystery, and the audience reacts just like, oh, that's what it was, instead of the mystery building upon each other. Like how in Lost, much of the first season is about what is in the hatch, and when the hatch finally gets opened, we have new mysteries to find out. Another thing that Lost did that helps with the characters is have flashbacks and flash forwards to tell us what the characters are doing off the island, and I think that could have been useful in Infinite Ryvius. For example, Blue, and in fact most of his crew, could have really benefited with more backstory. From the beginning of the story, they are already a gang. How did this happen? Maybe they could have showed what they did at astronaut school. How did they fit in the hierarchy when the teachers were there? Because with how the show plays, Blue and his gang feel like the anti-hero guy in every zombie survival movie. But what Blue should actually be is a 16-year-old astronaut school version of the anti-hero guy. If we saw a flashback of Blue in astronaut school, that would have went a long way to believe in his character. Hitting those big moments. There are 5 big moments in Ryvius, and I would say one of them is really well handled and the ending is okay. The other 3 I think miss when they are supposed to be big hype moments. What if all 5 of these big events in the show were handled flawlessly? This would made the show a classic. And Lost, to this day, I still remember how angry I was at some of the characters after some of the plot twists. The Infinite Ryvius big moments range from too straightforward to too philosophical. The one that is philosophical moment sticks out as really bizarre because besides that, the show is handled like a serious science fiction. What happened is one of the characters does something to endanger the entire ship, but another character uses the event as an opportunity for political gain. But while doing this, they ignore the entire ship being in danger. So was the entire ship not in danger? It's rather confusing if you think about it. I think you're just supposed to think about the event on a superficial level. However, since much of the show is so serious, this is confusing. Many of the mech fights were lame. The first couple fights were the mech versus missiles, and then the mech versus missiles and rocks. It wasn't until later in the series that they finally start fighting other spaceships. You also don't see that much of the battle. They're always cutting away to the control room and to the pilot cockpit. They have a few weird cuts in general throughout the anime. Some episodes start further ahead of the story than you would think, to the point where one time I wondered if I accidentally skipped an episode. It's nowhere near as polished as Neon Genesis Evangelion or Cowboy Bebop, but it gives you that feeling where it's about human survival. It's about rising to the occasion when in a horrific situation. It's about keeping your morals and when it may not be politically viable for you to do so. It's about not forgetting who your friends are and trying to do the best you can with every decision you have to make. It's about how love is great and how love is cruel. It's about mystery and the huge potential of humanity and the great unknown of space travel. When you think of blockbuster anime like Evangelion, Macross, or Gundam, Infinite Ryvius was attempted to be the same thing. It's like if you are trying to bunt it for a hit versus if you're going for a home run. Infinite Ryvius goes for a home run, and that alone is admirable. This has been the Logical Conclusions of Anime Reviews. Please like, comment, and subscribe.